This is episode 1 of the Forbidden Podcast, the Forbidden Castle Podcast. I'm Nick.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Josh.
We will be discussing everything, politics, investing, basically anything that we understand and probably don't understand. We'll be doing all that.
And the future sense, we're I wouldn't say naive, but we don't know a lot about a lot of things. I mean, because we're only 16.
I'm 14.
He's like 14 years old.
14 guy.
He's been on this planet 14 years only, so we don't know too much. But so we're gonna have future guests on that know more about a topic or something like that, and we can just discuss stuff. Mm-hmm. And this will be a way you guys can learn, and us too, through this.
Yeah.
And so we'll all have a fun experience. So
Learn from open-minded people. And
exactly.
Get more knowledge.
We've definitely always been interested in doing YouTube and shit like that. I remember being 6 years old and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna do the egg challenge.
Yeah, we got our old videos.
Well, you kidding? I remember when you were, how old were you? You were so young.
I had to have been
you were doing giveaways.
Yeah,
dude.
And then TikToks and Musically, all that.
No, I remember you had what was it? You had a Smurf toy, and some other shit. He's like,
what was
you're
it?
gonna give it away.
I don't know what I was doing. What was it even about?
It's doing vlogs, remember? It's on the old.
Yeah, with Kylie, with that neighbor.
Yeah. You're just giving away stuff.
Then just recently, me and you tried doing somewhat of a weightlifting thing. We did it.
Fitness.
Well, I still want to pursue that.
Yeah,
I
definitely would.
I still plan on doing that, but
it's just it's hard now because we're all in basketball. He's in football. Me and Josh
all
just in
lifting
basketball.
constantly. But
yeah, so much shit going on. It's hard to...
And eventually, this might turn into an outlet for us to expand into more individual things, but obviously continuing what we're doing with the podcast because we hope to grow this.
Yeah.
And our purpose for doing this is obviously not to expand our personal brands, but just get understand more things and do more things, learn from people.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. No, expanding what you're talking about, YouTube-wise, I remember always watching YouTube videos since I was how old?
Very young.
Extremely young. I remember watching Team and stuff like that and watching all those guys.
Yeah.
And just wanted to be YouTube for so long, so even now, it's still there.
Yeah, it's never really gone away. It's just been my whole life. I've just been wanting to be out there.
It's a very ideal career.
Yeah, for sure. You just do what you love and just make.
You left that one camera stick over there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is that what you're filming on?
Yeah.
You were doing those challenges, not challenges. Yeah, you did some challenges.
Yeah, that was the. What was it called? I don't know what it's called, but yeah, just shit ton of challenges, the cinnamon challenge,
yeah.
That era. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever upload any videos?
Yeah, I had some trick shot videos.
Yeah, the COD things, I
was on that.
Well, what Resident Evil or no? Shadows of Evil with the potion vial things. What were those called?
Liquid Divinium?
Yes.
From Black Ops 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, we've been doing this stuff for a while.
We've been trying to, but obviously being as young as we were, that's not a very appealing.
Yeah, and nowadays it's just hard to get the courage to post that and just.
Yeah. Well, it's overall if you try doing something new, it sounds cliche, but you just get scrutinized, really.
Yeah.
That's definitely not how it should be. You should be able to pursue what you want. People.
That's definitely not how it works, especially where we live. People are just very close-minded.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, especially it seems everyone's calm. We're a very small town, population of what?
3,000, 2,000.
Without the additions, probably 800.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And they're all just old people. There's no kids where I live.
No, they've just been in the same place their whole life.
I don't blame them. Every their generations do the same thing, and
yeah.
If you do anything different, it's kind of just weird, just frowned upon.
And we've been all been friends since
really
basketball.
kindergarten.
Yeah, since you two played basketball, then
I met
Josh.
Nick, I met Nick in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And
I ran away the first day of kindergarten.
You ran away?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, right into the parking lot. I didn't want to go, so I ran into
Isn't
the
it
parking
Spider-Man costume?
Yeah, I wore a Spider-Man costume all the time. Everyone thought I was Spider-Man.
It's
pretty cool. Yeah.
Pretty dope.
No, dude, I was the first day of preschool, not even the first day, multiple days. Maybe the first week. I was a big mama's boy. I was really attached to my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I would cry because I just missed my mom so much.
Yeah.
So she gave, no, I'm not even joking. She gave me, a piece of cloth that had, her, perfume on it.
So you could smell it?
Yeah, and it made me feel good.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Did I
was
ever
our
tell you
mama's
that?
boy. No, you never
Oh,
told me.
that's fucking sick.
No, I mean like it's like I would never smell it. It's like feeling so comforted. Like
That's sick.
it was bad. Like I
worried
would
and
cry
you just-
every day.
You sniff it.
Yeah.
Good? That's great.
Yeah, the
It was
fucking.
rough.
Is that what that is? Preschool where they just like no, that's when they just drop you off, then they go to work or whatever, and then you're just
Daycare?
with a ton of kids.
Daycare.
That's daycare. Yeah.
You used to go to daycare. I never
I used
went
to beat the
daycare.
shit out of everyone. I was
What do
so.
you mean?
You know the
You're
little
bully.
like play kitchens, like the fake kitchens with like the little fake stove that's all plastic.
Yeah.
I would fucking like tell people like, oh, get your order on this side, and then I'd push it on them.
I
was
so
dirty.
mean.
You're just a menace.
And then there's
dude.
nap
Why?
time. I would like fake being asleep. Then I'd wake up and like put glue in people's hair, like
Are you
like
kidding me?
Dude, you're a
So Maya
menace.
Gallus. I'd put it in her hair.
Are you kidding
It
me?
was bad. It was really bad.
That's
Oh my
your
god.
bully.
You're extremely tame compared to that. I mean, you've always been like a menace. But oh my god.
That's bad.
Like if someone heard that now, they'd be like, dude, that the kid's definitely gonna go up to like do some crime or something.
No, it's not. It's like I don't know. It was pretty bad.
It's pretty
It's a
bad.
mini Jake Paul. Like
I never got in trouble for it though. I don't know how. Like I don't know. It was sick though.
Well, you're like
Just
5 years old.
watching
they're
Bubble
probably not being
Guppies and eating those
Yeah.
banana fucking popsicles every
Those are
day.
good.
No, dude, I remember I was in daycare when I was younger, obviously, but and this one kid like said a bad word. He's like swore or something like that, and I didn't really know what it was. It was Drake's mom, Janelle, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was there, and I repeated it like when we were eating, and I got in trouble for saying it because
God.
like I was like saying what he said, and everyone was like, "Don't say it." He's like, "Don't you dare say it." I was like,
He just
did.
did.
"I gotta be. That's my right. I'm supposed to do that. I have to. I had to report it."
Oh
It
yeah.
was rough.
I don't know. We've always just been out there. It's like I don't know. But I'm not like an extrovert though, like at all.
I would say I'm like completely in between an extrovert and introvert.
Yeah.
Like I like being alone sometimes, but I also like will put myself out there if I'm in the situation to do so.
Yeah, like in public, like I could do anything like this or like YouTube or anything like that, but I couldn't do like just things like in front of people. Like I can never like perform on a stage. Like I couldn't do that.
I've never had a problem with public speaking.
Unless I
Like,
know people.
That's
Yeah.
true. Like
Yeah.
those people I did know would
If
probably.
I'm like
be a different
presenting in
story.
class or something, that's like fine.
Yeah.
But if I walk around the Mall of America, I'm like I hate this. Like
I hate being congested
Yeah.
in malls.
yeah,
It's
oh
bad.
my god.
For me, it's like really weird. Like what the fuck did I say? No, like I'm like in between like you, but like it's like in different things. Like some things just like I just can't do. I get really uncomfortable. Like other
Mhm.
things like if I'm like friends with like you guys, like I'm really comfortable with my close friends. But like say if I were to what's an example of this? I don't even know. Like I don't like to speak in front of class. To be honest with you,
Really, even if you like know them well, like
if I know what, I don't know.
you kind of do for every class. So like realistically, like we have like 20 kids in our class. Like
I don't know, like, but I can like enjoy myself by myself. Like, if I'm by myself, like, that's
oh
honestly
yeah, for
optimal.
sure. You always say you're like I wish I was home alone right now. I just watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Like sometimes like you have friends over and like it's not like dissing my like our friend and like, I
Yeah.
love our friends, but like if we're just like chilling something like that, I'd rather just like go home and just like watch YouTube and
Yeah, I
have
feel like
some
not
fun.
sure.
Relax. It's
yeah,
just a
like
good
we'll
time.
go to like watch a movie. You're like, come on, let's go on a drive and like jump off a cliff. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to do that.
What do you mean?
It's
Yeah, like
all.
there's times when you're like really enjoying and you like being around your friends, but then sometimes you just like you really crave being alone. For a
Oh,
little
for
bit.
sure. Yeah.
My thing is, it's not even like I crave being alone. It's more so like I just generally like I can just have a fun time by myself.
I could not agree. Like, just like completely alone. Like the probably like most exciting thing I do is just listen to music or like play a video game.
Really?
take a shower and listen to music, probably.
Yeah, like anything that's not like so like even like playing video games. That's like always my go-to if I'm alone.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
Just
it's
play
like
video
for me,
games.
it's like I either clean my room or go lift. Like you lifting, like that's my like go-to. Like if I have like school or something, like I have free time all by myself, just to go lift is just like good.
Yeah. I've definitely felt that, but like, I don't know if I'm like as like the same anymore. Like with lifting, I'd say I definitely haven't like. I don't know, I like go and like I enjoy it when I go, but it's just harder to like get up and go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's with everything. I feel like the always comes a point in something you love when it becomes a drag for
Especially because I'm just like bulking. Like, I just feel fat as shit. Like I'm just like.
Oh, dude, my physique has gone down the shitter since we started basketball.
Yeah.
I think it'd be.
It doesn't make sense. I'm 170. I've never even weighed like close to 170.
I think you're like the first person like ever to gain weight in basketball. Like.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's really impressive, actually.
It's really
I
bad.
struggle really hard. Like, it's really bad for me to put on weight.
Yeah, even during football and
Like-
shit, like, I don't know, it was crazy. Like,
Like the amount of food you must have to eat, like the calorie, your like calorie surplus like has to be like in the 3,000s. Like, you
it's
still
kinda
gain weight.
it's so bad. Like, every day, just fast food. Like,
Yeah, like
We've spent way too much money on fast
I had
food.
$100. We had a thing on Thanksgiving, and I spent $100 in like a week just on fast food. Nothing
We
else.
spent, me, Josh, and Hunter spent $80 in 2 days on fast food.
Holy
that.
fuck.
No, every trip we go is at least like over $50. Like, not even-
Easily.
Oh yeah,
For
McDonald's.
3
I don't know the last time it's been below 40.
it's kind of like
It's so easy to spend so much money because you're
Dude.
like, oh, everything's so cheap, but you have to get 5 things to like.
The burgers there, like they're $1, and somehow it's like $40. Then you got the McFlurries, those are like $6. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They're so worth it though.
No, it's stupid because every time I kind of feel like embarrassed. I'm like, all right, 6 cheeseburgers. I'm like, dude, what? 6 cheeseburgers? Like, no one needs 6 cheeseburgers.
I feel like it has to be somewhat normal. Like, there's no way I can just eat 6 cheeseburgers and no one else can. Like,
That's true. I
Like-
don't know. I feel like but like spending like dropping $60 on like one fast food trip just feels like a crime to me.
I fucking hate cooking though so much. Like,
I don't mind cooking.
I want to
Really?
learn how to cook.
Cooking's
I
sick.
feel like it'd be really nice.
it just takes so much time. And I'm just like, I just want to lay down right now. Like, I do not want to be cooking some eggs right now. But I don't know.
Remember, the idea of this podcast came from when we were coming from McDonald's.
Mm.
We were dropping him off, and we
Yeah,
started
well,
the topic about
Oh.
what nothingness
at the
is.
high school. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I
It
remember
was a
that.
really in-depth conversation.
And then it was like late, so we were just like, okay, we gotta end this. And then we were like, we should do a podcast. I'm like, sounds like
But
a
it
great
really is a
idea.
great topic, like,
Well,
because
yeah.
if you think
What were we
about
talking
We're talking about Earth
Because-
and like, or no, like the universe and stuff.
because
how
like
it's
what's
expanding.
outside of the universe, you like can't even conceptualize it because it's such like a mind-boggling thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, but like, because there's the idea of superposition, where you can have one particle here and one particle there, and they move in the exact same ways, and they're essentially the same particle, or they could even be the same particle. I'm not exactly sure, but it just ties in to a bunch of quantum mechanics and such. But like, it's the idea where like something isn't something until it's observed. Like,
Yes.
if you have a door closed, there's nothing outside the door until it's observed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the cat in the box or
The
whatever.
The Schrodinger's cat, where
Yeah,
if you have a
that's
radioactive device in a box with a cat, and in 1 hour there's a 50% chance it's dead and 50% chance it's alive from the radioactive device killing it. The instant before you open the box, is the cat dead or alive? That was the thought question or the thought experiment that Schrodinger had. And it just, the idea is that before you open it, the cat is both dead and alive. So and then there's another idea where that ties into, it splits into two
Yeah.
completely different realities. And
And
that's what
isn't that like the
parallel
butterfly
universes.
effect somewhat?
No.
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 It definitely is.
No, the butterfly effect is like things
So-
piling up on each other.
Like butterfly flaps its wings over here, a hurricane eventually forms.
that does kind of link into like parallel universes though, because like
Yeah, like
every time
Because
every time
Schrodinger's cat
yeah.
splits once and then it just
Yeah.
keeps compounding.
yeah, like
into-
Jeremy was saying, like you pull up to a stop sign, you can go left, right, or straight. Like in one world, one like universe, you go.
If
straight,
it becomes
one you
into
go
that
left.
situation, then it'll just, whenever you have to make a decision, it'll split into different
That'd
realities.
be like think about
If
how
you
many
think about that,
like
like, how-
decisions you
yeah,
make in a day.
like,
That's
how
fucking
minute, like,
crazy.
It's like, I feel like, I don't know how like to level extent, but like even if I move like the ball, like this bottle, say like 1 centimeter less, like that's new reality.
Or if you
If
decide to
that's-
think something else.
Yeah,
it
like-
definitely like makes sense.
But that's
Like
the
it seems
idea.
unreal, but like it definitely makes sense.
Well, it's
Like,
infinite realities. Like if you have infinite universes, there are infinite possibilities.
That's just crazy.
But like infinite is another thing that's just, you can't conceptualize
It's
it
so-
because it's just such a large
Yeah.
thing. There's
Yeah.
no bounds.
yeah.
Like,
Like remember when in science class we talk about like how like the Earth is expanding, and like how do you even like conceptualize such a thing? Like, you know, like it's already like the Earth, like not the Earth, I mean the universe.
mhm.
It's already like it's already a thing, but how's it like expanding to nothing?
Because we did it with like where you put the dots on the balloon, and then you blew it up, and it's like the little dots represent galaxies or whatever, and as it blows up, they go further and further apart, and that represents the expansion of the universe. But what is the air that the balloon is expanding into? What is that in terms of the universe? It just doesn't make sense.
I've definitely just pictured white space, but like that's still like something like white space is something.
But that's where the idea of nothing comes back, because when you think of nothingness, nothing, like we said, nothing can only be nothing until it's observed.
Mm.
Is at least what we concluded in that night of talking.
So yeah, that's what I thought is like nothing. You can't really observe nothing because otherwise, like once you start observing said nothing,
then
it would be something, you know.
But even thoughts, like when you think about something and you think about that idea that hasn't been thought, it becomes an idea, and therefore it's not nothing anymore.
Everyone definitely has like a different idea of what they think is like nothing. Like if I just told you to picture nothing, you'd probably picture something different than I do. Like
I disagree. I think we'd always picture like some black space.
I'd picture white for sure.
White also.
Really?
Yeah, like I feel like everyone just has a different idea.
But that's the thing.
It would have
to be black, though, wouldn't it?
Because
white
think of like Family Guy or something. If they go into like a space that's supposed to be nothing, it's white.
Well, this is what I think about it. Like it's all yin yang. Like white is every color. It's the bright and everything like that. And dark is nothing. It's
the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Nothingness.
But so that's why I always pictured black
that's
is nothing, or white is everything. It's, it's yin yang. Like you go
back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn these notifications off. They're pretty annoying.
No.
What were we talking about that one morning? We were going to lift at 4:30.
I'll bring it up. I'll wait for them to get back. So I remember I told you about this, Nick, I think, but the concept of if there's a male that is heterosexual and they make eye contact with someone of the opposite gender, and if they are attractive, that male will get like a dopamine hit and they'll get a rise of dopamine. But to the contrary, if that male were to look at a female that is unattractive, they'll get, I don't even know what chemical it is, but some chemical that gets released that is negative and makes you feel bad. So like it's just crazy to think about like how like unfortunate that would be to be attractive and how like beneficial it is to be attractive when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because your general presence will just make other people feel good.
Literally, or make people feel bad.
Exactly.
If your appearance made other people have a literal bad chemical reaction in their brain.
That like really like I picture like some people and I'm like I'd never be like friends with them. I'm like, oh, like also they're not like the most attractive person ever.
Yeah,
like,
it's weird.
It really is a thing though. It's like people are not friends with unattractive people, but that doesn't come down to just being a dickhead or not. It's like a subconscious thing where you you don't even like think about why it is, but it like may boil down to them just being very unattractive.
Yeah, if I had someone really attractive, I'd be like, oh, like nice, let me come greet him. Like
well, no, it's like all that stuff, like everything kind of goes back to like those like primal like urges. Like you don't really think about it, but subconsciously all these things that we think about or like or dislike really goes back to like what we were like predisposed like of liking, like in the hunter-gatherer days sense, you know.
Yeah, like I don't know. And then we were talking about how like simple that would be, like primal days somewhat.
Well, yeah, everything's just so complex now. Like there's so much
stuff. Social status, you have
your
ego. That
like back then, the fucking men go and hunt, and the girls like tend for the kids. Like
remember, where did we talk about when, like we were just talking about overweight people and like how they might be like the reason they're overweight is because way back, like in their ancestors' times, like hunter-gatherer, they may have had their ancestors may have been worse hunters. Which is why they had to store more fat so they could survive.
Which is like a very good conclusion. Like it makes sense. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Like that goes back to everything. Like all your traits like that. Like even take attractiveness for example. Like say if you're a male and you're sexually attracted to females, more desirable traits universally, like majority wise, is like girls like most guys find. Girls with like big breasts, right? And a big ass, like they'll find that girl more attractive most of the time.
Yeah.
And most of the time is because of that is like they have more fertility usually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that they've had higher level. Would that be higher levels of estrogen?
I think so. Yeah.
Which would tie into higher levels of fertility.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and like honestly, like our whole purpose, not our purpose pretty much is to produce offspring.
Yeah, we talk about
Survive
it all the time.
and
Yeah.
reproduce.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's what it is, and that's what our instincts tell us to do.
So if you see someone who has a higher chance of producing offspring, you're obviously gonna want that's way more
Yeah.
desirable than someone who's not.
That'd be subconscious thoughts, right? Or would it be self-conscious?
What the fuck are you
Yeah, what do you mean?
It's not
It would be a
Like you're not thinking about it, but like that's just like what your instincts are.
subconscious. Like
Yeah,
you're
that'd be
thinking like,
subconscious,
oh,
yeah.
that
self-conscious means you're just
Subconscious.
yeah.
It makes sense.
Like you're just like insecure about yourself. No, yeah, like you don't really think about it, but like I mean obviously like there's like some people that find other people differently attractive, but like when you have such a wide majority of people that find a certain like group of like, females attractive and like these certain traits attractive, I mean it obviously has to mean something like and it makes sense to trace it back to that. Cause like all we're made to do here is produce offspring.
it is.
That's what like that's our innate like urge. Like I mean yeah.
Is that that could definitely tie into the reason why, because men in general will be, and women I'm sure too, are horny a lot.
Yeah.
But that must just tie in again to ancestors when they needed to reproduce and all they needed to do was have their offspring.
Yeah.
So they would do it as much as they can so they can have as much of their bloodline alive.
Exactly. And like another thing is like I said, like our only purpose is like to survive and produce offspring. And it still is our that's what we need, like that's what we want to do. But a lot of these things that we attribute to things that we want to do in our life now that's like more complex, like be successful and stuff like that, is all just to make yourself in a better place to survive or produce offspring.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a better job than someone else, you probably have a more higher chance to produce offspring and survive. You're in a better position. You can feed your family, stuff like that.
You're more desirable.
You're more desirable for a mate. It's like so you're more attractive. I mean, obviously that's a given, but like all this stuff, it just goes in the hierarchy. Like if you're higher in the hierarchy, like doing better at something, you're obviously gonna be better at it. You're gonna be more easily be able to find a mate that would produce
Like whether people would like to admit it or not, most women would really enjoy having the opportunity to have a kid with Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
But because he's the richest
it
man on
definitely
the
like
planet.
ties into like gold digging or whatever you want to call it.
It does
like
too.
going
It
for
does
money
eventually because
Yeah,
you're
'cause
not gonna have. You would not want to have a kid
with a poor guy.
with someone that doesn't have any money.
That's like
because
the
they
same-
just can't support.
That's like the same thing as like having a kid with a guy who had no tools or like
or
don't
couldn't
drive,
hunt.
like,
exactly.
Was
Yeah.
a terrible hunter.
Goes
They just
back to
wouldn't
that.
want to because they're just not dominant. They're not the alpha male in the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. That's why like girls like majority. Obviously, some girls are off, because like some stuff is like socially, like, made. I don't know the right terms for it, but like a lot of stuff goes back to like the instinctual stuff. Like, that's why most girls are attracted to, like say alpha males and something like that, because those people back in the day would be able to provide for their family and stuff like that, and it's an urge you still have. Like it's
And it carries over, and it'll take however long. Like Homo sapiens have been around for somewhere around 200,000 years, from what I understand. And so it's taken that long to go from hunting, gathering, and even not even being nomadic and just staying where you are,
yeah.
to having the civilization that we do and having the reputation that you're trying to build, having to satisfy your ego all the time. Where before it was literally the two things you had to do were survive and reproduce, and that's all it boiled down to.
And like you would just do certain stuff, like say be able to make hunt and stuff like that, and like that, cook food or like make shelter, and those are like you can really, and then it eventually just goes out with what's the word for it? They just like spreads out and like snowballs out into different branches of stuff, and that's like how we are today. It just keeps on going and going. That's why our life's is so complex now. It's our same root, but it just expands so much, what attributes to everything
I
else.
think that is another reason why the complexity of society is definitely the purpose for so many people having there's being such high levels of depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many social pressures. Like when
For
you
sure.
go on Instagram or any social media, you just see this person has a lot of money and they're attractive, and that's the ideal person because people want to be like them, but that's just not how it should be, because you should never want to be somebody else.
For sure, like, and like you said on Instagrams like that, it's just people's like highlight reel. Like, no one's happy all the time, like ever. Like that's not even possible.
oh yeah.
You're gonna have bad days, you know. Like, and it's just all like, what's the word for it? It's not true. It's just like, it sucks, honestly, like having all these social media. It sounds cliche, people say it all the time, but like, it's honestly just not good to always compare yourself to other people.
And it's really detrimental. It's not even not good, it's just completely detrimental.
For everyone, because the people who are doing it themselves are not happy.
Yeah, I see celebrities, like, that's all their brand is, just, like, being happy, like, sunshine, like, stuff like that. I'm like, that's just not realistic at all. But people just, like, buy it, and they're just like, oh, I want to live that lifestyle.
And I just want to be happy all the time. And then they start tying in where, oh, they have a bunch of money, so they're happy all the time. And, oh, they have nice cars, nice things, they have fans, they're famous, so therefore they're happy all the time.
It's
just not how it would work.
Arguably, like, they're probably more depressed, and I think like there's some studies that actually show that, like you talked about the financial curve, whatever.
Yeah, where if you make a certain amount of money, eventually the more you make, it'll go up, and then eventually it just completely plateaus, and then you're just no longer getting more satisfaction the more money you make, or it just doesn't matter to you anymore.
See, that's crazy, because like I feel like in our society, like in less like Western society, we attribute success and like happiness to like your status, your job, and how much money you make. Where like, if you really think about it, it really doesn't. That stuff doesn't really matter. Like, it really boils down to how happy you are. And people think that stuff makes you happy, but it's not true. I mean, it's very short term.
Yeah, I would genuinely like rather be a homeless man, like nothing to my name, like, and just be happy all the time than just being like famous and just like sad half the time.
Well, I mean, honestly, like that seems like such a no-brainer if you really think about it. Like, because being rich, you want to be rich because you think it'll make you happy. The end goal is to be happy. You want to be happy.
But that's the thing.
I feel like people just don't realize that though. Like, obviously they want to be happy. Like, they're not like overlooking that, but like, I don't know. I feel like they just think like money like buys happiness. So.
And it does, but like for a very short period of time.
Very short. It buys a short burst of dopamine.
Yeah, like
whenever you get something new, like you get a new car, you're like, oh, I love this car for a week, and then after that, it's just another car.
Yeah, if I got $1 million right now, buy a Ferrari, I'm like, oh my god, sick, post this all over social media, and then a week later, I'm like, oh, this car is not that great, like I don't really want to be driving this anymore. Yeah. Then I buy a Lamborghini, like.
And then it just keeps on going and going, and then your standard gets so high where like nothing makes you happy anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're out there taking drugs, and those drugs get more tolerant to have to take them, and you're not happy. Like.
And they take so many that you overdose.
Yeah,
like, and you're dead.
That just happens with everything. Like, it's just like with drugs, like you build up a tolerance. That could just not attribute to drugs, but attributes to everything. Like, say like obviously like, say the first time you worked out, like you got a really big like endorphin rush, you feel great, you're like, dude, this is awesome. Keep on doing it, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Your muscles get less sore. You're not building much muscle. You're plateauing, and you get less of satisfaction out of it. It happens with everything.
Which is likely what's happening to you when you said you still like going, but it's just harder to go there because you subconsciously, maybe consciously know that you're not going to be making the gains that you were at one point.
Yeah.
But that's where the difficulty in being a so-called like bodybuilder, even if it's just to stay in shape.
Yeah.
That's where it comes in because most people just cannot get over that hurdle where they're not gaining anything anymore.
For sure. Like, you just need... The only way to get, like, back to that normal status, you don't even get back to that normal, like, first time of anything, but you just need to take a break. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, you can't keep on going 100% all the time.
Yeah, you
need to unplug and have a break.
This is not possible.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, okay, you got, like, NBA players, like, they're playing college and stuff, that towards the end of their college careers, they're probably like, oh, this basketball, like, football, whatever, isn't very fun anymore.
And they're probably
that's why they go to the NBA and they make up like $400 million.
Because that's what I was just gonna say.
Because like that's what supports it. Or like with bodybuilding, like people plateau. Like Chris Bumstead, he was probably plateauing at one point. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go on steroids, and then just goes from there. Like,
and you keep on going back over and over the top of your standards, and then you eventually end up having an obsession. It's not good.
Yeah, like Stephen Curry, and that, like you think they really enjoy basketball that much anymore?
Definitely not to the level that they did at one point, but I think
they're making
Shaq
all the money.
Does it like where Steph Curry, he literally probably is making at least $100 per shot.
Oh yeah,
like practice shots.
Yeah, that's just like also interesting because like you see some people like that just do something like take like Kobe Bryant for example, like that motherfucker, like he worked all the time on this craft, he did it all the time, and it doesn't seem to ever get sick of it. Like he always would just do like whatever it takes.
And I feel like that doesn't even tie into like his passion for basketball. I think that's just the way he was.
Yeah.
And that's how it would be with most people if they were like that.
Some people like really just, I mean, it ties into like yin yang or whatever, not, but like when you suffer, like it sounds like morbid kind of, but like when you suffer, I don't mean like just like extreme pain, like but like any like level of discomfort, there's gonna be opposite effect of like happiness or like good feeling. Like it's like Kobe Bryant, for example. If he were to go do a hard practice like that and he's put himself through hell, afterwards he's gonna feel good. Like it's just like how it works.
Yeah. Taoism or whatever. Me and you like got into that. I don't know. That was like a deep talk too.
Yeah.
I don't know how it popped up really, but like, I have like 3 books upstairs just on like Taoism. Like, it's like.
Did you read any of them?
Yeah, I read like the one had just like a ton of quotes and stuff, and the other one was like explaining the quotes and stuff.
That's kind of how that the book up there, How to Be Free.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. It was just notes that Epictetus's student took while he was speaking.
Cut off, but I was talking about Taoism or whatever, and then he brought up what's it called?
Stoicism, and this is actually the book I was just talking about. How to Be Free, An Ancient Guide to the Stoic Life. It's Epictetus, and it's a very good book. I would definitely recommend it to anybody. But Stoicism is an ancient Greek school of philosophy founded at Athens by Zeno of Citium. This school taught that virtue, the highest good, is based on knowledge. The wise live in harmony with the divine reason, also identified with fate and providence that governs nature, and are indifferent to the vicissitudes of fortune and to pleasure and pain. So it's basically just saying that people, they have virtue because of like what they know, and that their misfortune or their vices are because of what they don't know, from what I understand or what I gathered from that. And in the book, it does discuss, we will find it, the first one in the book. It says, some things in the world are up to us while others are not. Up to us are our faculties of judgment, motivation, desire, and aversion. In short, everything that is our own doing. Not up to us is our body and our property, our reputations and our official positions. In short, everything that is not our own doing. So, you control what is yours, and it boils down to the only thing that is truly yours is your mind and your body. Everything outside of that is an outside thing, and you can't control it, so you should not concern yourself with it.
No, because I've seen a lot of videos. Like, I watched a couple on Stoicism. What I gathered from it was like you said, like, not worrying about what you can't control. What's that one book? Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like how it talks about stuff, does it?
Yeah, like the end of it, it's basically the idea of Stoicism, but in like a more modern book. That
Yeah,
people
makes
are
sense.
into. Just the end of it is just talking about how once you get over the idea of death and are just okay with the concept of death, you're essentially free, because that's your one like innate fear.
Yeah, which makes sense, because like all the negative things that pretty much go back to death, like it was about like fear of dying in a certain way, and like they eventually all boil down to that. Like if you notice, like for me personally, like if I play a basketball game, say it's like a pickup game, and there's no stakes, I don't care what happens. Like like if it happens, it happens. I can't really control it or whatever. I'm just playing to have fun. I'll play way better. I'll have way more better time.
It seems like such a better time, like playing like that, like anything like that, like without like a coach, without like any like rules to follow, really, like
Well, I feel like Stoicism
without any stakes, like
that really applies to like Stoicism. Like if you couldn't make that like your normal life where you don't worry about stuff you can't control, I mean, you start being free. Like it's like it says, like when you there's a certain freedom of just not caring. I mean, obviously there's an extent to it. You gotta care about some stuff, but like you said, the things you can't control, that just, why worry over that? And it's easier said than done. I mean, it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And with Taoism, like Dylan was talking about, it is just, it believes that humans and animals should live in balance with the Tao, or the universe. And
the Tao is, it's like everything and nothing at the same time, right?
Which is yin and yang, correct?
It's everything that there is and everything that there was and will be, correct?
Yeah, something like that.
And it says, Taoists believe in spiritual immortality, where the spirit of the body joins the universe after death.
Yeah, that's where like yin and yang comes from, like Taoism.
And their core beliefs is Tao is the origin and law of all things in the universe. Taoists believe that people can become deities or live forever through practicing certain rituals and austerities. They also practice the philosophy of wu wei or inaction.
So, like, I don't know. It's kind of just going with the... That's, like, the main message is, like, going with the flow. Like,
Not trying too hard to control things outside of your control,
Yeah,
which is
goes,
very similar to Stoicism.
Like,
like,
what's an example? I've never heard this metaphor, like...
Some of the river,
it's like swimming upstream. Like, you're not going to get where you want to be. Like, if you go with the flow more, you're not going to have that resistance of, like, trying... You're just, like, more of the time, like, something happens, just feed into it. Like, say if someone, like, points out your insecurities like that, just go into it, be like, yeah, dude, maybe I am a little fat like that, and, like... If you try to hide your insecurities like that, people will definitely go after you more.
Oh, yeah.
Just go lean into everything you have.
And
Don't
like,
go against it.
Like, this is just like a middle school thing. Like, you make fun of someone, they like start like making like a big thing, like a big like scene out of it. Like, you're gonna do it again. Like, that's just like kind of what you do. Like,
the reason people will do that is because of their own insecurities. And again, that is a completely cliche thing to say, but it's true. People wouldn't. If you're completely at peace with yourself, you have no hate towards anything. Because in your own mind, you're at peace.
Like, why would you? Like,
you have no reason to.
Yeah, you have no.
Like, you're just like content.
Yeah,
you've done it essentially.
Exactly.
Like, that's like the thing. Like, would you rather be like happy or just like content? Like,
well, the thing
probably
is, like,
completely content, because if you're happy, I don't know.
I feel like
because you have to be.
When
in order to be neutral, you can't experience happy or sad.
That's
in order to be happy, you have to experience sad.
Yeah, the thing is, because you can't just be happy all the time. It's not gonna work. You need the yin and yang.
Yin and yang.
So like. That's what a lot of these, like, Taoists, I'm sure, but, like, Buddhists, they strive for more of the neutral ground. We don't experience the extreme ends of either.
Complete nirvana.
Because,
nirvana.
Yeah, because you can't have one without the other. Like, the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. It's not possible. You can't have good without bad.
Yeah, that's definitely why I got into Taoism. Like, I was like, that just makes sense. Like, when you brought up the lifting thing, like, lifting, like, sucks dick. Like, I'll do fucking legs and I want to die.
Yeah,
and then afterwards, I'm like, holy shit.
The amount of euphoria.
I feel like Jesus right now. Like, I just feel great. Like,
it goes back to that, and I feel like a lot of people don't think about that. Maybe they do. I don't know about other minds, but when you, like, a lot of people experience bad stuff and they think of a negative thing, we gotta realize, like, this is how I think it personally. Like, when I have a negative thing happen to me, I'm just like, it's gonna get better. Like, it's just how it works. You can't have negative without positive. Can't have positive without negative. So
like,
you need to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, just try to stay optimistic, because like, it's always gonna be a positive thing happening.
Yeah, for sure.
There's always gonna be a negative thing.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be.
Which is kind of like a pessimist thing to think about, but like, it's just how it is.
It's true. If there's gonna be positive, there's gonna be negative, because without positive,
there's no
negative. There's no concept of positive and negative.
Without like feeling the negative, you won't like feel the positive.
You won't understand positive.
Yeah, because how can you compare such a thing if there's no opposite?
Yeah.
And it all goes back to the Tao. Like, everything, really think about it, boils down to opposites, and like, it's all how it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna just look up like a quote from like the book that I'm reading, or was reading, I guess.
How much did you read it with?
It was just like quotes. It was like it was like 90 pages only, but like, one of them was like perfect. It was about like perfection. It was like, it was something.
I think I know what you're like talking about.
It was like perfection can like never be reached, because once you like be so-called perfect, then like, I don't know what happened. Like,
no, I remember.
Perfection is the willingness to be imperfect.
Yeah. No.
It was something longer.
Yeah, that's exactly. I remember Jordan Peterson, psychologist. He talked about this on the podcast. Dylan.
Yep.
Talked about this on the podcast. So he did this example. Like, there's a ballerina that goes out for like this show, whatever, I don't know what it's called. She dances. Everything's perfect. She does everything to the T, and it's great. Like, how can anyone do better than this person? And the next person goes up, and she's doing everything, but you can tell she's riding that line of being imperfect. She's riding that line of failing, and that's better. Like, if you're like riding that line, you're like, and you're almost like, you can see her like stumble a bit, like, but she's riding that line in between like the Tao, where she is risking the failure, and she is failing a little bit, but she's putting that risk out there, and that's what makes it better. Like, you need to be riding that line.
It's more human and seems less robotic.
Exactly.
Like, the one quote that we found about...
Perfect isn't really perfect. Like, there's no such, like, really...
He has no power, he achieves nothing, has no reputation. Since he judges no one judges him. Such is the perfect man, his boat is empty. Where it's saying being perfect is being completely imperfect.
Exactly.
Where you have nothing to base yourself off of, and you're just completely in the middle.
Yes, this one says, true perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself.
Yeah, it's like going back to yin yang. Like everything is just like opposites of self. Like it's not like you can't compare good without bad. Like like you said, perfect is pretty much imperfect. Like say you go to a house, like a mansion. And I remember watching I watched a tour video of like Kanye's house.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like empty. Like he was like, but it was like perfect. It's nice, right angles, like nice, like arts like that. But it's like it's not home. It's not perfect. It's not like yours.
Yeah,
and like that's what makes things good. Like you have like some bad stuff in here, but like that's yours. That's what makes it perfect.
And like it's perfect isn't even achievable, but you
Exactly.
have
everyone
what
has
you
different
consider
views.
It's a different idea of perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, like everyone, like say I really enjoy dancing, I do that. Like some guy on Twitter, if I posted or something, they'd be like, "Oh, that one move sucked." I'd be like, "Yeah, but you don't know anything about dancing." But still, like they don't think you're like perfect, I guess.
Exactly. And that's where the saying like "you're perfectly imperfect" comes in, because everyone is perfectly imperfect to the extent where they're themselves and they're not going to be
like,
more than that.
The only reason people want to be perfect is for other people, realistically. Like,
Just fulfill
no
their
one's
ego.
really trying to do that for themselves, really.
Exactly. That's where like that cliche like saying like everyone's unique in their own way and you're perfectly imperfect, like you said. Like, I mean, it's cliche, but it's like true. Like, what makes you perfect is the fact that you have bad things, the fact that you have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you can't have good without bad. You need that comparability. You need that relativity. So like that's what makes people perfect. Like you need flaws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not seen as beautiful unless there's some grit and there's some like badness to it. You need that.
For sure. Yeah.
And I feel like that's like part of the social media problem. Is like everyone sees such a unreasonable standard set so high that no one can achieve. Because not even the people that post them are achieving that. It's not true.
Yeah,
It's because they
fake.
can't.
Exactly.
Because they're just posting what they want to be.
Exactly, for sure. Like
It's like basically just like catfishing, but like for like feelings and like.
But for emotion.
Yeah.
it's just not. It's
Instead
not
of-
healthy for anyone.
For
really not.
themselves, for other people watching, it's just bad for everybody.
I go on a trip to Fiji or something. I catch an amazing sunset. I take a picture. 5 hours later, like it's raining there, like a hurricane's happening.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like kind of how everything is, really. Like,
Everything's good temporarily, and then everything is bad temporarily. But
yeah, like social media. Like, no one's gonna post like, just like a picture of their like bad hair day, like anything like that. Like, they're just like, oh, I'm like this perfect person. Like,
the only person I've seen do that was Madison Beer. On one of her posts, she just posted everything about how everything she posts is not like herself. It's just to improve herself.
Yeah, and
not
that's-
even her self-image, just her image in general.
yeah, like those people are just like great too. Like those celebrities, like those are the ones that like I follow. Like even like rappers and stuff. That's why I like rappers, because they all rap about that. Like
Yeah.
they always talk about, oh, like I came from the trenches, like I couldn't eat food, like, and now look at them. Like, except for I feel like
even like Juice WRLD, like I remember like some of the lyrics like on what's it called, Fight for Demons. She's talking about like, is it that song?
yeah, he's talking about
he's like,
the money thing.
He's like, yeah, doesn't
He's
matter
like-
because I'm rich. Like, and he says like, psych, I'm so sad as a bitch. Like, he's like talking about like this all this fame and shit. Doesn't
That's
make
like
you.
really why I love Juice WRLD so much. Like he talks about all that. He talks about
And
depression,
he's
like
completely transparent with it. He doesn't like, and people don't like it because he talks about drugs so much.
Yeah.
But he's just completely transparent with what he's dealing with and how he's feeling.
and that's what music and like art should be, is what you're
Yeah.
feeling. Like
Exactly.
Like the best art is art that people made while they were feeling a certain way.
Mhm.
Because when you can feel the emotion that the artist had when they made it. For
yeah,
sure.
like yeah,
Like-
100%. I listen to a sad song or like a genuinely like, or not genuine, like generally like sad song, like slowed down beat, like anything like that, like definitely like touches my feelings. Like
Yeah, and that should be like the goal of all art. Like, just to express your feelings and make people feel a certain way too.
And I think that is a successful piece of art. If the artist is, in rapping terms, can make you feel the emotion that they were feeling when they made it.
that's like winning. I'd
That's the
say.
goal.
Yeah,
That's what it should be.
I was watching the trailer for that, and
For
for the Juice WRLD documentary,
oh yeah.
and his team was talking about like how like he was rapping about his feelings, and they like wouldn't like ask him afterwards like if he was okay or anything.
Because they didn't
Just
know if it, because it was just beautiful art. They
Yeah.
said that it was just beautiful art that he made, so they couldn't discern the feelings that he had from the art itself.
Yeah.
I
That's
feel like-
crazy.
I feel like a lot of people are like timid about like talking to their feelings, like even about like their friends and stuff. Like
Yeah, like you never hear people talking about the way that they're feeling, and that's just should not be how it is. I feel like you should be able to openly talk about anything.
To like anyone really, like
everyone should be accepting of that people feel certain ways, and I feel like that also ties into the idea that you should, like when people are just being an asshole in general,
you should
you should feel like Gary Vee, like he says you should feel sympathy for those people because they're clearly dealing with something. If that's how they're choosing to treat other people.
Yeah, I see people in my school, I'm like, oh my god, they're an idiot. But I'm like, okay, I'll ask my dad about this or something. They're like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a mom. Like,
yeah,
like that's just like how it's like bound to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
the thing is, like, where it said, like, people who make fun of people that have insecurity themselves, like, it makes sense. Like, you wouldn't take something from someone else for their own happiness if you, like, need something, like, from yourself. Like, you need to do that to make yourself feel better. And, like you said, you should feel sympathy for those people. I mean, it's hard to do on the surface because you're just, like, feeling how bad you feel right now, but, like, it's true.
Yeah, like, what was I in? Oh, like, people who use, like, drugs, you go out, like, drinking all the time, like, people are just like, oh, they're such idiots, like, they have no responsibilities, but, like,
they have a reason
if
for
you
it.
Realistically ask them, they definitely have something to tell you, like, they have, like, a story, like...
100%.
Which makes me think about, like, you can always attribute, people always have reasons for what they do, obviously, but, like, where do you draw that line between okay and not morally okay? Because, like, say someone, like, murders someone, it's obviously the extreme example, murders someone, what if they just have so much shit going on, like, that, like, I don't know the situation of this, but, like, they say do something so bad, such as murder, that just helps them, makes them feel good, like, and they need to do that to make them feel, like, good.
Yeah,
that... Like, where do you draw that line?
Yeah,
I feel like when you have to, I feel like then you just
when
have
you're
to
harming other people, for sure.
You just have to figure out a point where it becomes just evil. And you just become an evil person because of the way that you're feeling, that you just become
and that's for
unsafe.
Like, I see, like, murderers and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not just like, oh, they're just, like, cold-blooded, like, axe murder. I'm like, they were taught that at some point. Like, when I watch You or whatever, and I see Joe, like, when his dad or whatever was beating his mom and he killed his dad, like, that's all he's known from when he was a kid, like, and that's just how he deals with stuff now in the show You.
Yeah, it makes me think about, like really, like, what are, like, the morals, like, and, like, who decides what morals are, like, how do you, like, make sure, like, what is, like, good morals, like, how do, like, where's the line and all that stuff, because, like, it's all really other people's, like, interpretation of it is.
Yeah.
And it's the only way, at least in the United States, the only way that those morals stay in place is if the people let them.
Yeah, and, like...
Or if every citizen in the United States says, we don't like how this is running, it's done. Law, everything just evaporates immediately if everybody just says we're not going to follow it.
Yeah.
Because who's going to enforce things? Nobody, because there's nobody left to enforce.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like, childhood and everything, like, matters a lot more than people think. Like,
your ages...
Like, memories and stuff like that. Like
remember what you said?
The ACEs. Like, the ACEs test.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that? That's, like, crazy. Like, it's like I don't know what ACEs stands for. It's something like... It's something like development or something like that. Like, it's, like, basically just, like, when you're a kid somewhat. Look up what it is.
Remember we were talking about the other day about how, like, when your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25 and stuff like that. And the most where you're most impressionable is the younger you get. Like, what you say, like, what age was it? Where you, like...
I think you said 0 to 4.
0 to 3 is where you...
was 0 to 4. Like, 4 is the cutoff where if someone's taught something, that's how...
Yeah, exactly. Like, Jordan Peterson was talking about... did I mention that to you, Dylan? I probably did. When you're 0 to 4 years old, you, if you can't teach your child to be able to play with someone without hurting them and knowing the boundaries of stuff and be able to, like, be able to work within society, they won't be able to recover from that if they don't learn that skill by the age of 4. Or it'll be damn hard to change that after that, which is crazy because like you said, like, childhood matters, like, to an extreme extent. Like, it's gonna, if you have fucked up childhood, that's gonna affect you for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, like anything even like things like nowadays, like, I go to therapy and you went to therapy, you don't.
Not anymore, just because of how busy I am with school and everything.
Yeah.
But
and like what's it called? Where they, like, try to bring you back to, like, change your memories somewhat.
It's eye movement. It's something to do with eye movement where they,
like,
like,
eye movement
move their hand in front of you so that you, like, essentially go into some form of, like, trance. it's not hypnotization, but it like gets you into a state where you really focus on the trauma that you've had, and then you essentially like direct, quote unquote, your experience and change what you want about it to help fix it.
Yeah, like I was like talking to like my therapist, stuff like that, and like she was like, well, did this ever happen when you were a kid? I'm like, yeah, it did. And she's like, see where we're going with this? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense actually. And then like she just keep going with like things like that. I'm like, holy shit, like
It's like, crazy how things can pile up and then you don't even realize it.
There's something in your brain that like keeps track of those things like from when you were a kid. And like she was just talking about that. She's like basically right now that's just like clogged like with like those bad memories from that, and like that's why you're not like moving forward and like be like sense. Whatever you want to call it, but like yeah, like I don't know, it's just crazy how much that like affects people. Even like fears nowadays, I feel like that all comes from something, like whether it was a nightmare when you were like 3 years old or something, like
yeah,
like I'm scared of heights now. Like I wonder if I had a dream where I like fell off a cliff or something, like
well, back to like the instinctual like hunter-gatherer days, and also might go back to like the instinctual fear of like, well, it's obviously like everything goes back to your fear of death. Anything that might somehow affect the way of you like dying, almost like that would affect the chance of you dying. It's gonna make you fearful of that thing.
Yeah, like
so like I mean hunter-gatherer days, heights you can fall, you can die. So that's why I mean that
maybe like my ancestor died from that or something. That I don't know, like. I feel like your mind and body, it's just like so crazy, like
how complex everything is.
Yeah, I've thought of like how do you go from a single sperm to like a possible 7 foot tall man, like,
or even taller,
and your organs and everything, like that makes no sense to me.
How
at all.
everything develops, it's wild. It's really crazy.
That's probably one thing like I could not wrap my head around. Like that just makes no sense at all.
I agree.
Like organs and like skin, like how does that? It doesn't make sense. I just can't like do it.
You can't just wrap your head around it.
Like how does it work? Like you're a little baby. Like
I mean, it's all a transfer of energy, really. But like,
but again, like how much energy does that one sperm cell have? It's gotta have like it has to get fed a lot of energy to turn into a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, back to the ACEs. Did you look up what it stand or like?
It means the Adverse Childhood Experiences Test, and that just
so it's like
it asks about. It says, ask 10 questions about common traumatic experiences that occur early in life, and it's just asking questions that could like, potentially affect you later on.
It's things like child neglect and like drug usage at your house, like stuff like that, and like
or abuse in your home.
And my health teacher was talking about it, and she said, I think it was somewhere around 80% have at least one, and then somewhere around 60 or 50% have over 4 out of like 10. And I was
I would just have to tie into 20%, less than 20%, because of 80%. I guess at least one.
At least one, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, that's just like crazy, like how many people like are going through this, like. I don't know. I feel like you never really like think about that until I took that. I was like, holy, that's like crazy. Like,
how people like, we've talked about this in class before, and the reason, and we'll get more in depth to it in a different episode, I'm sure. But just about like how so many people in your school and in your town are dealing with things like abuse at home or neglect. Or drug use in their home that you just wouldn't even think are dealing with it. It's just insane how like screwed up a lot of things are and how negative it is.
Yeah, and like just sharing your feelings, like back to that, like it just seems so hard to like do that to like everyone.
It is, but it's very crucial.
And there's so many things like I don't know. I feel like they should be more like. I don't know. You can't be an asshole obviously just because you're going through a tough time, like.
Because then you just.
But like, say you have a test the next day, you're like, oh, I stayed up all night. My mom is like getting beat by my dad. Like, teacher would be like, no, you're taking a test. I'm like, are you like? I feel like you should be like exempt from like certain things. I feel like just like morally like.
But it should be like you should never feel scared to talk about things like that because that is like it's a huge problem.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's everywhere.
But even like, and that would like greatly help people if they were just able to tell somebody something. And I feel like it's the reason people don't is because of the stigma of, oh, you're being a baby, or oh, you need to man up because you're feeling depressed or you're feeling anxious, or like with like abuse at home, people are like, oh, what's gonna happen if I tell them? But it's like and I'm not saying it's easy to tell people because it's not by any means, but it shouldn't be difficult to tell people is the whole point.
Yeah. Well, also goes back to like hierarchies and stuff like that. Like, if you show weakness like that, people are gonna view you in a lower status.
Yeah.
Which is like, it should be the other way around. Like, I think to a certain extent it is. Like, I was gonna say, like true, like someone we find desirable, someone who can like, I watched a video about this, that who can like open themselves up and like that's like more manly like than hiding.
Because it's extremely difficult to do.
It's showing that you're not afraid of this weakness, but you're
Yeah.
like, you're allowing. You're like, well, this is me. Like, this is like, I have this shit. I hold this baggage, but just what it is.
Because I'm sure even with you, like when you first started going to therapy, like you were hesitant because you're like,
I was like, I'm fine right now. Like, I'm
but then you're thinking, you're like, oh, it's just gonna be like you don't want to have to tell people you're going to therapy.
Yeah, like still, I haven't told I've probably told like under 20 people.
Yeah, and even still, like if I was going to therapy and while I was, which was just recently, I would just say I'm going to an appointment.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to feel.
That's the thing. Like, I try to schedule not during school, but like realistically, like, I should be like, okay, teacher, I'm going to a like mental health appointment. They should just be like, oh, that's great, actually.
Because that's like
that should be the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like over literally anything. I don't care what it is. Like, if it's a job, if it's making money, like I feel like mental health is just like the most important thing.
Arguably more important than physical health.
Out of anything, really. Like basketball practice, if I miss to go to a mental health appointment, like I feel like I'd just get like destroyed for it. But like
yeah, but you shouldn't.
100%.
Well, yeah, cause like that, people like the basketball thing and stuff like that. They attribute to things that would like basketball practice like would make your mental health better. Like that's why.
That's what they think.
Yeah.
But, like it's just like not the case all the time. Like.
But that's why it's at the top. Like you're doing these like activities like that so you can feel better and like do things that like make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously like people don't realize this, but like obviously that your mental health should be at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just need to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Like. That's what I feel like my main like problem was like, I was like holding things back like for sure. Like I would not tell people. I would go in the bathroom and like genuinely just like cry and like listen to music like.
And that's how it be, but you should, like not.
I should have just went up to my mom and just been like,
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay right now. Like that's what I ended up doing. That's why I'm on like hydroxyzine right now.
And that's also what I.
Or not hydroxyzine. Fluoxetine or like Prozac. But like.
Because it got to the point for me where I was just completely disinterested in everything.
Oh,
and I was like, I just knew that wasn't normal, and I knew that it didn't feel okay. So then eventually I just sat down with my dad, and I was just telling him, like, I'm not alright, and I want to do something about it.
Oh, and it was, like, the best thing I, like, did. Like, every day I would just be, like, suffering, and I would just be like, this is, like, just not it. Like,
you can't.
Yeah. And just, like, the thoughts I would have, I'm just like, this is just, like, disgusting, like. I like can't like do this like.
It's crazy. I don't think how many people realize like how many people are like on it antidepressants. I know you're not.
Oh, it's
how many people are dealing with depression.
Yeah.
And anxiety.
Yeah, it's like
insane.
I like talking like to my mom or something like that, or like a family member, or just someone I know, and they're like talking about someone. I'm like, yeah, he takes antidepressants or something like that. I'm like, really him? Like,
oh, that yeah.
Because they look like they're so happy on the outside, but they're genuinely.
Everyone's dealing with something.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how much people don't understand. Like on the surface level, people look okay, but like. Most of the people, like most people that look okay on the surface are probably the most suffering.
Yeah, like I'm taking like an antidepressant or like a.
Is that like the anxiety or?
No, this is antidepressant, but I'm also going on anxiety one, like, just because of like how tough it gets. Like it's just like.
And because they tie into each other, depression and anxiety.
Yeah, like, and the first week that I was like on it or whatever, I like now that like. They upped it to 20 milligrams or whatever of the fluoxetine, and like. I kind of noticed I like didn't like feel as happy as I was the first week, but like I feel like I was just that happy because of like just because I was making a change like somewhat like.
And that'll definitely benefit you, and that's probably part of it.
Yeah, and like now I'm like I don't really know if it's helping that much. Like I feel like getting like back into that like dark place. Like I don't know, like it's just like nice because I was like so happy that week. Like I like literally felt the best I've ever felt. Like.
Yeah.
I remember my brother like. I don't know if I should bring this up anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I try to I'm trying to keep like people out of it, like even, like parents or anything. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like it's such like a lifter. Like I really don't want to like rely on that to be happy, obviously. But like if it's gonna do it, like that 3 months or whatever was just like awful. Like I literally could not do that again.
I think it's just all about managing it. Like it's not like that's the end all be all. It's gonna just make you happy, but like just allows you to make those steps to be happy.
So you don't have to keep feeling like that while you're making steps to become.
Yeah, but realistically, like people can literally just have like like chemical imbalance in your brain, right? That can just make you depressed. Like like not even if you're going through
because of
hard.
stress and everything. Like just like.
Yeah, and like I would take that for the rest of my life if I had to. Like, if I tried going often, I was just like depressed as shit. Like,
yeah, but it just becomes not viable.
Yeah,
at some point.
You can get like withdrawal, right? If once you go off.
For sure. Yeah, antidepressants. Like you can get fucked up if you don't take them for like a certain amount of days or something like that. Like going back to mental health, there's like stuff like that. Freaking Jordan Peterson, I know I'm talking about a lot, but he's a great guy. Like especially in like young males like that. I mean, we're like super young, but like 20 or 20. Oh fuck.
It just
Should we just wrap it up?
You want it?
I feel like that's a solid first episode. Like it's almost been an hour.
It's been like 2 hours. It's been an hour and a half.
It's been over an hour.
Yeah, I like that, but like I don't know. It's just like great talk right now. But like
I'll keep on talking. But we can just wrap it up right now.
That's fair. We should like somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, because this kid's still here, so obviously, the camera cut out again because it just adds a recording limit. But you can start that back up.
All right, the camera cut out again, and with those times, how long has it been?
It's been over an hour now.
It's been over an hour.
It hasn't felt like an hour.
I was completely thinking this was gonna be like 20 minutes. Like
it's a lot easier to actually talk than I would have thought. But
so we're gonna wrap it up because we got stuff to attend to. Not really. I mean, kinda.
I gotta be at a basketball game. You gotta get to your girlfriend's house. But
so we're gonna wrap it up.
That was episode 1. Solid.
Great time.
We're gonna try to get guests on at some point.
Yeah. Hopefully the next
episode.
Ideally next episode.
We should get someone on. Yeah.
So about it.
Yeah,
that was
We
great.
gotta wrap it up.
When are we posting this? Tomorrow.
Well, it will be now for whoever's watching it.
Yeah. If you made it to this time, holy
good for you.
shit.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We're gonna post this tomorrow, hopefully.
Tomorrow, it's Friday right now.
And then we'll try
Saturday.
Try to get a schedule of posting
a weekly schedule
of every Saturday.
I would genuinely go twice a week. Like, just because of, like, how good of a time that was.
Yeah, well, I feel like once we get more access to more guests, then it'll be easier like that.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah.
Good
every
talk.
Saturday. And we might upload more.
We have Twitter.
Yeah,
TikTok.
follow our Twitter at Castle Forbidden. Our TikTok is Forbidden Castle Podcast. And we're going to work on making an Instagram. And obviously, you're on YouTube.
So, yeah.
I may live stream in the future. We'll see about that.
Should we put, like, our, should I put, like, my Snapchat and my Instagram on there? Because that's where I'll post, like, the ads to, like, the Twitter and stuff. Because those are hard to, like, find. I tried finding the YouTube and stuff. It's hard.
Yeah, you go for that thing.
Yeah. And if you guys enjoyed, please subscribe,
Really appreciate it.
If you're here right now, wow.
That's, like, and also leave a comment on
Oh,
what you want
sure.
us to talk about. We
Yeah.
really
We'll probably
that
post
as well.
like some sort of like poll or like
we'll be posting
questionnaire.
polls on Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, because I would love to talk about like even things
that
I
people
don't
want
know
us to
about.
talk to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
talk about.
we don't know a lot about, but
That-
like, or even like suggest like things they want us to talk about. We can invite someone who does know some about that said thing, you know.
Like your brother, if someone brings up a health topic, your brother's in.
Yeah, stuff like that.
This was just like an intro too. Like this is just more personal stuff. Like obviously we can go to more like, if you guys have like questions or anything like that, like we can just go off of that.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Is that it?
Yeah, good one.
Thank you.